Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги, друзья. Мы сегодня
Friends, we are here today at the Gaidar Forum. This panel, this discussion, is going to be dedicated to quite an interesting topic. How do we get to happiness? On the one hand, it is a geological theme. On the other hand, it reflects the very sense of human life, because everyone wants to get happiness. It is kind of a philosophical position, a philosophical question. How do we get to happiness? I believe that Russia has mineral resources as one of its advantages, and so far our economy is based largely on them. And for many years, the discussions have been going on saying that this addiction to mineral resources has been constraining us, but 2020 saw two black swans, two economic shocks brought about by the pandemic. We all felt that in all aspects in our life and personal life and our professional lives, as well in social sphere, in the economy. On the other hand, we saw the oil crisis, which adjusted the prices and consequently changed the profits and the revenues of both regions and the federal center. And these two black swans, they came together almost at the same time in spring last year. And so this kind of addiction, this hook, it turned out to be something beneficial to us. Why so? Well, it turned out that this traditional type of economy was less vulnerable to the GDP drop. If we look at the GDP statistics, I think the statistics is going to be different. It's going to be around 4.4% or so, whereas the European economy is far more diversified, service-oriented. We see their GDP dropped by 8% in Germany and up to 12% in Italy and in Spain. So it turns out this kind of dependency on our part was helpful. This is an important factor which we need to take into account, maybe not too much, but still something to pay attention to. Our today's topic is no doubt related to geological exploration. I am Director General of Rosgeo, JSC. This is a comprehensive company. We deal in surveying and exploring all kinds of mineral resources, and I'm confident that mineral resources are going to continue to play an important part. We're going to talk about Yakutia, in particular the Republic of Sakha, because we've got Aysen Nikolaev, who is the head of the Republic of Yakutia. He is here with us in the studio. No doubt the role of mineral resources of great import, both for the potential of development, and our second panelist is the Prime Minister of Bashkortostan, Andrei Nazarov. He is from the European part of Russia, where the economy is more diversified, and yet the mineral resources still play a great role there. There is a great deal of processing in Bashkortostan, but it is closely interlinked to the upstream industries. So it's all about mineral resources still. No doubt we need to develop geology to find new deposits, because we've got to find new stimuli. The old mature deposits are at the final stage, and we've got to look into the future beyond the horizon. And in that sense, Rosgeo does the whole range of geological surveying and all that. And Yakutia in Bashkortostan, over the last year, we discovered several deposits of gold, polymetallic deposits, oil and gas. So I would like to show you a short video which will showcase the directions our activities are going in, and then I'll get down to questions to our participants.
Переходим
So now we'll get down to the main part of our discussion. Once again, the discussion is entitled, How do we get to happiness? And the first person I'd like to give the floor to is
Действительно, республика активно развивается.
Aysen Sergeyevich. The Republic is developing rapidly. The Republic is working in different industries and sectors. Several years ago, one could only think of diamonds and coal or timber if asked about Yakutia, and probably about mammoths too, because traditionally the biggest deposits of mammoths' bones are located in Yakutia. Right now, the Republic is developing actively the gross regional product hit 1 trillion. So, what do you think?
Направление Якутии на другие отрасли, такие как золото,
Mr. Nikolaev, is the happiness of Yakutia in diamonds or not? I don't think so. I think, of course, Yakutia is very far ahead in doing that, but it is also ranking among the first in gold development, and right now there are new deposits of gas, and gas becomes a very important growth factor. Polymetallic deposits are also moving to the forefront, while diamonds, of course, still retain an important share in your economy. So, what are the prospects for mineral exploration in Yakutia? What are the main drivers behind this process? No doubt, Yakutia is one of the richest regions of our country, maybe of the globe. In terms of mineral resources, it is endowed with. I do agree that during the Soviet times and after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Yakutia was mostly renowned for its diamonds. At the same time, over the recent years, we've been witnessing the emergence of new industries and mineral industries too that are playing an increasingly important role in the Russian economy. Right now we produce around 16 million tons of oil, and there are prospects for further growth. Surgut, Neftegas, Rosneft are already present in Yakutia, and they have got licenses to explore oil and gas, and oil industry has emerged over the last decade. The power of Siberia is also a very important product based on a big Shadritska deposit, which is fully located in Yakutia. Apart from that, we've got other projects run by other companies, and should these projects be implemented, they are not going to be any inferior to the power of Siberia, say the company of Intag, and there are prospects for building a new pipeline southward and also eastward to the Sea of Okhotsk, and there are prospects for building an LNG plant on the territory of Khabarovsk Krai, and from there gas will be able to export it in Asia. So these projects can be implemented in the coming years. Right now, the discovered deposits amount to around 3 trillion cubic meters, but this is but the beginning. Of course, there are traditional industries such as gold mining and coal mining, and over the recent years, Yakutia is in very good dynamics. 2020 for gold was a record, more than 30 tons, and we ranked third in terms of gold mining in our country. As far as coal is concerned, even though there are some difficulties brought about by 2020, there was a drop in prices, and of course there were some problems with the railroad, because it is a constraint preventing us from exporting more. That is one of the issues for the Russian Far East. It requires a systemic approach, a federal approach, of course. Right now, it's around 20 million tons of coal, and in the coming years, it's going to be 30. That's our plan. There are still non-believers but 2025 it's going to be 60, and it is a very high-quality coke. So it is going to create a huge inflow of revenues to the budget of our republic. Incidentally, there are many questions about taxes, how much stays in Yakutia, how much goes into the federal budget. And honestly, a lot of the mineral resource taxes stayed in Yakutia in terms of the tax for diamonds. In 2019, 190 billion rubles was funneled into the federal budget. And in 2020, of course, it was less because there was a dramatic drop in oil and gas prices, but 2021 is going to see a recovery. So the mineral resources are very rich in Yakutia. Apart from that, we are confident that what we need to do is to carry out geological survey as actively as possible to create more deposits, to find them. Of course, we've got many discovered deposits, but I think a lot is still undiscovered because Yakutia is one of the hardest to reach regions of the world in terms of vast spaces and lack of infrastructure. And of course, the climate conditions, it's -50, -60. Yes, our brigades come up against that challenges. It's -60 for the whole week this week. You think it's very warm in Moscow, I guess here -20, just -20, yes, very warm, very mild winter indeed. So you said, Mr. Nikolaev, that of course it's impossible to find oil in Moscow region, for instance. It's just the way nature is. But multimodal diversification is very good, and what you're talking about is a well-balanced development of different industries. So for gold is 38 tons. It is a very good indicator. You were talking about gas and oil, new oil and gas basins. You continue with developing diamonds and coal. So Yakutia is not just developing mineral resources it already has, it is searching for new ones, it is trying to explore new industries like rare earths, diamonds. So you feel the need for diversifying, indubitably. If we did not, or rather had not diversified our economy through oil and gas, then 2020 would have been a catastrophe for us, because it was probably the hardest drop in the diamond market since World War II, and somewhere in certain places the sales of diamond products fell by 97% in certain countries. Even though there was a recovery during the last quarter, still it was very bad. Yes, and the diamond stock exchanges shut down. Yes, Alrosa, for a certain point of time, was the only world company that still continued with mining for diamonds, whereas the other diamond companies simply shut down for a time period. Yes, and we managed to compensate with gold. And in taxes, we saw an increase of 8 billion as compared to 2019. Yes, 2020 was difficult, but still. I think 2020 sets the trend for diversification, because you should not put all your eggs in one basket, and the basket preferably should be bigger too. So as far as diversification is concerned, I would like to move on to Andrei, Nazarov, because Bashkortostan has a very diversified region. It is a region close to me because I was born not far from it, and I visited on many occasions when I was young, and my parents lived there for a time. It is a beautiful region, the climate is wonderful, the nature picturesque. So the economy is well diversified. There are many industries. Of course, mineral resources extraction plays an important role, primarily oil and gas. I think it has existed since the 1930s, when it was first discovered. So, on the one hand, the Republic is located in the Volga region. On the other hand, it's close to the Urals, so the metal mining industry is there. Historically, there are many companies that mine for metals, for gold. There are copper deposits too, and zinc deposits. And apart from that, it has a well-developed processing industry, chemical processing, and the share of processing industries is very big. There is machine building, the scientific potential is huge, the economy is well diversified, agriculture is well developed, especially in the southern part of Bashkortostan. So, what is your attitude to developing mineral resources? On the one hand, the economy is diversified. On the other hand, the region is well endowed with different resources, metals, oil and gas, but also salts, non-metals that are very promising. So, in Yakutia, of course, diversification is something of a must. And more investment is needed into oil and gas, especially in gas, for searching for new basins and for gold. Development, Yakutia, as was mentioned, ranks third. What is your attitude towards that in Bashkortostan? Of course, diversification will stay there, but what kind of role do you attach to developing your mineral wealth? It is an important growth point for the Republic, right? Thank you, Sergey, for the question, because it reflects the train of our thought in elaborating a strategy for the development of our Republic, because in this or that way, Bashkortostan indeed is a region with a very diversified economy. We've got several pillars sustaining our economy that allow us to develop this territory very good. 40% of our population live in rural areas. That is why agriculture is huge import. Agriculture gives a huge contribution to employment, to our economy on the whole. Last year, in 2018, saw a very good, steady growth in agriculture. We are one of the leaders in Russia in terms of agricultural development and growing crops. Machine building is another important pillar because it's based on our scientific potential on the one hand and on our technology on the other hand. And mineral resources represent yet another pillar of our well-being. I have to say that Bashkortostan was there before oil was found. But of course, the might and the power of Bashkortostan are to a large extent due to oil and to the development of our mineral wealth. The economy, as was mentioned, is well diversified, but still reinforcing and deepening, expanding the mineral extraction is one of our priorities. We've got 1,300 discovered deposits in Bashkortostan, around 200 oil deposits, around 50 gold mines, 15 copper mines, 20 iron mines, and so on and so forth, zinc, and other resources, all of which gives us an opportunity to develop our petrochemical industry, soda, which is renowned across the world, and a number of others. So this is a priority for us. We know that even though since the 19th century. This is an industry that has been developing here steadily, especially since the 1930s, but still less than 50% of our territory has been surveyed so far. So there is still a huge potential lurking in Bashkortostan to find new deposits. But it's not just about mining, but also processing. Geologists sometimes say that the Ural region has already been discovered and well researched, but Rosgeo still manages to find around 10 new deposits along the Ural mountains. So you say that 50% of the territory has been discovered, but still the technologies are new. So there are good prospects for geological survey in terms of trying to find new oil deposits, gold deposits, and others. Yes. And besides, there are some oil deposits that provide us with 16 million tons a year. They're small, but still very promising. And another 279 million tons is still discovered, but not yet extracted.
Well, for some major companies, it may not be profitable to do low-scale mines, but in Tatarstan now we have 11 low-scale oil field companies, and their aggregate output started from 60 tons per day, and now it's up to 200 tons. So that holds a lot of promise and potential. We'll talk about that later. I know that you have a special incentivizing program in place, and with respect to junior business and small and medium enterprises support, this is a separate topic for us to discuss. Thank you so much. A very important line of activity to develop the mineral resource base in Bashkortostan. And bear in mind that for petrochemicals, you are using local commodities and raw materials. But let me now turn to more specialist and narrow niche issues. And a question to you about the development of the Arctic region. The Northern Sea route is an important strategic priority. Last year, a new Arctic strategy was put in place. Anyway, the Arctic region is yet to tap and to develop. And there are remote areas there, and can the Arctic region become a powerhouse for the Republic of Yakutia, Republic of Sakha? Or do we first build infrastructure and then start the development, or shall we advance in parallel? Or should be a step-by-step action? What is the stance of the leadership of Yakutia? Can you specify and elaborate? Well, the Arctic region for Yakutia is not only our future, it is our present. The territory of the Arctic, Yakutia, is 1.6 million square kilometers, which accounts for around half of our territory. So we should be quite focused on developing that territory and supporting the local residents living there and protecting the environment there, because the northern nature is quite vulnerable, and the Arctic region's nature is even more vulnerable. The geologic profile of the Arctic region, well, definitely is not perfect, and we were after diamonds and gold and tin in the Soviet era. With respect to hydrocarbons, well, we are now only starting the development, the production, although we have probably quite huge reserves in the offshore region of the Arctic, and today we are advancing a number of projects in the Arctic region. We are grateful to President and the federal government to provide preferential terms to the Arctic residents that are economic actors. The first resident in Yakutia producing tin, mining tin, has been registered, and we have rare earth metals, a deposit there. Rosgeology is in charge of that, yes. The exploration and production and mining of diamonds in the northwest of Yakutia. There is a well-known, discovered gold deposit, as well as tin deposits in the north. And there is a low-scale nuclear power plant being built. And probably, if we are quite successful in that, we will provide power for a lot of mines in the region. And definitely, that will enhance the living standards of people residing there. But we should act in parallel. We shouldn't wait till the infrastructure is there, otherwise... Do you recall the BAM railroad, Baikal-Amur trunk railway, that was built in the 70s?
И тогда был такой подход, да, сначала строим БАМ, потом уже осваиваем здесь.
It was, in the Soviet times, it was believed that first the railway should be built and then the production of diamonds, the mining of diamonds would start. And definitely we are to rely heavily on the Northern Sea route, because the throughput capacity is becoming better. It is nearing the round-the-year status. It may be used round the year in future. It may be an all-weather route, and that will provide for the development of the coastal areas, including in the Republic of Sakha. And we are now considering the construction of deep water ports, because some of the high tonnage vessels cannot enter our ports now, and we are to develop some of the regions and areas that are 20 meters deep, and there we could easily build deep water ports to accommodate future and existing mines. So the transport infrastructure, the energy infrastructure should be built simultaneously, in parallel. We should assume the cluster approach to have the synergies. Okay, you may be right. We should be consistent. We should act in a step-by-step manner. And we should be up-to-date in terms of our approaches and profess something which would be relevant. And what you said in your previous intervention about incentivizing small companies, you mentioned small-scale oil companies, 11 of them emerged, and you have small-scale deposits and fields that require special attention and that require application of this state-of-the-art technology. Probably same refers to gold. You have a lot of deposits, around 50 mines. They may be quite small ones or mid-sized ones. Now, the cost of gold production in Bashkortostan is low. You may mine gold all the year round, and it's quite cost-effective. And the cost of labor is lower, although And besides, the tariffs are low, so it will be quite cost-effective to put these deposits on stream. But the government, you said, is quite set to incentivize those kind of developing and processing startups. In the Russian Federation, more than 2,000 licenses to mine gold have been issued. More than 1,000 out of these are junior licenses for small-scale companies, and they are quite numerous in Yakutia as well. But what is your approach? I know that there is an extensive program in place, but what are the main takeaways and the main principles? Well, it must be noted that this is one of the main starting points for growth of our regional economy. On the one hand, we know we have lots of deposits and fields and mines, and we can discover many more. But we have reckoned, as a result of an analysis, that if there is an open mine field and an investor is attracted, it takes around 5 years of uptime to start the industrial scale production. If we incentivize small companies, this is a good thing, but only 3% out of these survive, statistics show, because they lack the preferential terms at the outset. So we have quite ample and extensive resource base in Bashkortostan, and we are particularly about supporting new and small companies. And we have our own idea about administrative cloud and resource. The regional government has information about the whereabouts of different deposits, and we may apply the administrative resource ours and the authority of ours in order to facilitate and bolster their activity. We have the one-stop shop of ready solutions, out-of-the-box solutions. We come up with patterns with typical models of how to develop mines and fields, and we make those available business projects accessible to everybody. They are in public access. They are ready for use. And we prompt them how to do business, where to supply, and how to process, and what the respective partners may be. In Bashkortostan, we recently inaugurated one of the fields, and we have a juncture of the Sibai station to the Orenburg region. There is a railway juncture and an offshoot. And we will be able to develop the Podolska and other fields. So, Kazakhstan borders on the Orenburg region, and definitely we have a lot of potential. But for that we need the governmental support, the public support. We want to attract new players, new economic actors, but that will be quite costly for them to assume all the costs. So we defray some of these and reduce the financial burden for them to attract investors. Thus, the business flow is considerably increased, and we are able to start the development of fields that previously hadn't been attractive to investors. You know, supporting your idea, I want to say that when you speak to those small companies or startups, they cite among the difficult issues, they say that they have difficulties to raise funding. Well, the project finance is not popular yet in this country. Well, I've been doing finance for quite long, and I know that for juniors it is indeed a huge issue. Then comes the personnel issue and the infrastructure issues. Money, infrastructure and people. These are the three main aspects that are constraints for the development, and you are quite right to say that the ready-made patterns and out-of-the-box solutions may be quite helpful and instrumental for these, and we should give them a prompt, a clue where to sell their oil, and definitely we have lots of partners with whom we have agreements in place, so we could provide the purchases of the products mined and developed at new fields. Yeah, new players and economic actors are quite important for the regional development, and for us, what is important for us? We are advocates of the junior economic movement development, and we know that the geological risks are quite pronounced, and we are ready to cover these types of risks. And not long ago in Yakutia we have subscribed a new agreement on Tavratarske field, and now we are ready to contemplate opportunities between Bashkiria and our company with respect to how we can keep cooperating in future. I suggest we should strike an agreement. We should establish a standing committee or a working group. That would be a one similar to what we have with Yakutia. And that would be a standing body. We are in agreement. Yeah, that would benefit both of the parties. This is how partnerships are forged at the Gaidar Forum. So these are partnerships with regions, entire regions, and we didn't discuss that before, so it's kind of off the cuff. So the final point and probably the question is, like in 2022, black swans arrived, and 1 year ago, we wouldn't have believed what was coming. In Yakutia, they have voodoo doctors and priests and shamans. But what do you think? What is your projection of the 2021? Well, we are to get out of the woods, I think, and I am confident that all our mineral projects will advance, and we will put on stream a major gold mining project. We, together with the Polymetal group of companies, will be developing gold ore, and in September 2021 that will be put on stream. The Nizhdaevsk field is one of the biggest in this country, and Polymetal has managed to take it through, win a license, and erect a facility there. The Elginsk field will also start being profitable. They have had an ownership change there, and I believe that this year we will put that on stream, and the regional coal mining company will thus be augmented to become one of the major coal miners in this country, and we believe that they will grow further on, and the gas deposits of Gazprom are also booming. Last year we had 4 billion cubic meters, 4 billion plus cubic meters of gas. And this year we will have exponential growth to reach new heights, new levels. With respect to Rosa, well, the shamans will assist us, the voodoo doctors. Anyway, the pandemic reduced the demand, we know that. But now we probably are quite upbeat about the future. We believe that for the extractive industry, 2021 will be much better than 2020. And this current year will see steady growth in all the sectors of our regional economy. As regards timber and wood, our regional companies have a lot of projects in the pipeline with major Russian national companies, and we definitely should be peculiar about preserving the environment, but still we should tap into this resource of the forest and timber. So, what about you? Are you an optimist or a pessimist or something in between? I am an optimist in this life, and I believe that we can attain anything. If there is a will, there is a way. And looking at the difficult year of 2020, still we had increased the level of residential construction as well as the agriculture and the investments in fixed capital. And there are only three items, which is the industrial output index, export supplies,
и, значит, индекс промышленности, да, экспортные поставки, ну и, значит, у нас
also
собственные доходы за счет, конечно,
our own incomes. These three parameters dropped a bit, but anyway, our original budget as of 2020 was even slightly higher than we had expected, than the targets. Once we have been able to reach and accomplish that in 2020, and the shipments of goods produced also went down a bit, the deliveries went down, and we know our weaknesses, and definitely we will work on that. And the third package of governmental support measures will take all that into account. We are to enact that. And in 2022, we expect exponential, rapid growth, whooping growth for the whole of the national economy. And I have a sound optimistic feeling that Bashkortostan will be among the leading regions in the Russian Federation in the forthcoming years. I'd like to thank both of the speakers. We are now finalizing this session. I also think that 2021 will see rapid, active development. For us, it's important to find the proper avenues, opportunities and points of growth. I wish everybody to remain in good health, which is quite precious, as the past year proved. I wish you to be healthy, to be successful, and to be upbeat and optimistic in this 2021, the year of bull. Thank you.